Welcome back into another episode of Hefe's World. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. But let's go ahead and get right into today's episode. I'm getting right into the NBA. Man, the NBA is heating up. We are getting into playoff season. We are less than a month away before the playoffs start. And the lottery's coming up as well. Will Cooper Flag come back, go back to Duke, or will he make his way onto the NBA? A lot of questions to be answered and more. But let me go ahead and get right into today's episode. I just want to get into the current standings and the layout of the land. To be honest, right now in the Eastern Conference, it looks like the Cavs will most likely maintain that number one seed overall unless they start losing games. The Celtics are only 4.5 games behind, so it's very possible it could still happen that the Celtics could claim the number one seed. But either way, one and two are pretty much solidified with the Celtics and the Cavs in the eastern side of the bracket. And to be honestly, the other four outside of the play-in, the Knicks, Pacers, Pistons, and Bucks, they're pretty much all solidified as a playoff team at this point. Nothing's obviously official right now. The Hawks and the Magic are about 5 games out right now of the locked-in spots. So anything is very possible. We definitely have, a couple weeks left of the season. So the Hawks and the Magic could very well sneak into the top six. I highly doubt it, though. I believe the six right now are locked in. I believe the Hawks, Magic, Bulls, and Heat will most likely be the play-in teams. Um, for me, being a Heat fan, I just don't want to see us make the playoffs this season. I need to see us stay out of the playoffs so that Riley can understand, his faults, his real faults here, and everything that happened with Jimmy, and that the team is now at this point in disarray. He needs to regroup and rebuild in the offseason, and hopefully he does it right. But I'm not going to get really too much into Miami because I don't want to get into one team too much. But Chicago Magic, Hawks, they will all pretty much be in the play-in teams as well. And I believe that the Hawks and Magic will most likely be the ones to make the playoffs out of that. I believe the top eight right now in the East will stay as it is. I don't really see too much shuffling around, but I do believe that all eight of those teams will solidify into the playoffs. And if the playoffs were to start today, like I said, the Cavs and the Celtics, we don't know who they would play yet, as we have the play-ins to go first. But the first round would have the Knicks and the Bucks, 3 and 6, and then the Pacers and the Pistons at 4 and 5. So those would be great matchups for sure. I would definitely tune in for those. The Eastern playing games as of right now would be the Atlanta Hawks and the Orlando Magic. Um, I that obviously is 7 and 8, so obviously the loser of that will still have a chance to make the playoffs. So in my opinion, I think the Magic will probably beat the Hawks. But honestly, either way, it could really go either way. And as far as the Heat and the Bulls, that's going to be a very interesting game. I feel like we've been playing the Bulls in the play-in a lot recently. And honestly, we do have their number, so I could see us beating them. But either way, win or lose, the Magic or the Hawks are going to beat the Bulls or the Heat after when it's all said and done. In my personal opinion, so we'll see what happens. But that's how I feel as of right now. But let's go ahead and get into the Western side of the bracket. Right now in the West, you have the Thunder leading graciously. They will not stay. They will not lose that number one spot. At this point, they are locked in. As far as the number two spot, I mean that spot is honestly up for grabs at this point. It is fair game from anywhere up until the number eight spot. I mean, and that's crazy to say, but that's how locked in these teams are right now. I mean, all these teams are about 6 games apart. Starting with the Rockets, then the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Grizzlies, the Clippers, the Warriors, and then the Timberwolves. They're all within 6 games of each other. It's very close competition for that number two seed. So I mean, to be all the way down in the play-in right now and to still be able to make that second seed is just crazy. But as far as the other two teams in the play-in right now, you currently have the Kings and the Suns in there. But ironically, you still have the Dallas Mavericks, who I haven't mentioned yet. Obviously, they lost a lot of pieces this year, losing Luca. and Kyrie Irving due to injury, but Luka obviously got traded. And then you got Anthony Davis now. He's back healthy. So we could possibly see a spark within the Mavs organization to possibly try and make it into the play-in. There are the Kings, Suns, and Mavs. They are all currently tied at 35 wins right now. The Mavs are unfortunately on the outside looking in right now, while the Kings and Suns have that solidified spot. But it's very close. Anything could happen down to the wire at this point. But if the playoffs were to realistically start today in the West, the Warriors would have to play the Timberwolves for the number 7 spot. And then the loser of that would have to play the winner of the Kings and Suns for the last spot in the in the playoffs this season. So either way you look at it, the West is absolutely stacked. And in my personal opinion, whoever comes out of the West is going to win the NBA Finals this year. I don't believe that the Cavs, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Bucks, anybody in the East has enough to compete with anybody in the West this year. It'll still go about 6 or 7 games for sure. But I just believe the West is unfortunately head and shoulders better than any team in the East this season. Even with the Celtics being the Celtics and who they are and who they were last year, I just don't believe they're the same team from last year. They haven't shown it to me. Um, the Cavs, the Cavs, in my opinion, are just a regular season team. Um, they they do well in the regular season every year just to fold in the playoffs. So I don't see it any other way again. Milwaukee, unfortunately, and I wish him a very speedy recovery, has lost Damian Lillard for an undetermined amount of time at this point, and they haven't really been looking good all season. So in my opinion, the Bucks, I maybe a second round exit, maybe first if they have to line up with the Knicks, because I do believe the Knicks will be able to beat the Bucks because Dame is not there. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be easy, but Giannis by himself, I just don't see it happening. So the Knicks, again, they sh- Carl Anthony Towns. He's just to me, he's just Carl Anthony Towns. Jalen Brunson, he's a dog. Unfortunately, the Mavs lost on him, but again, I can't take the Knicks seriously either. The Pacers at number 4, I I don't think they have enough pieces to beat anybody in the West either. And I'm not even going to get down past number 4. I know I skipped over a couple things and went over to number 6 with the Bucks, but that's just because the Bucks are a prominent franchise with Giannis. But I'm not going to get into anybody else because the East is just the East. But like I said, the West, whoever comes out, I would love to see OKC do it, but in my personal opinion, they're too young. I could see Denver or the Lakers, possibly the Warriors as well, sparking it up. Another team I would love to see in there would be the Timberwolves. For me, I'm personally going to root for Anthony Edwards and SGA when it comes to playoff time because I highly doubt my Miami Heat will be doing anything. But in any regards, I will hit y'all with another episode when the playoffs begin, and we will get right into the action. So make sure y'all hit that subscribe button down below, and I'll see y'all then. Just remember, this is Hefe's World, and you're just living in it.